Hello everybody, welcome back to another Ultimate General Civil War video. We are now in the Maryland campaign, so our grand battle will be the Battle of Antietam or Sharpsburg, but today we're not going to be doing a battle. I'm going to be doing a bit of a different video. Now, earlier I looked up a video on YouTube to see if there were any videos about the weapons in the game, if they are ranking the weapons, but I couldn't find any. So I figured if I had questions, a lot of y'all might as well. So I'm going to be doing a short video on my opinions on the guns in the game, if I think they're good or bad, if I recommend them to you or not. I'm going to be doing infantry first, then skirmishers, then cavalry, then artillery. So other than that, let's go ahead and get right into it. Now the farmers and reboard farmers, they are smoothbore weapons, so only under one circumstance I do recommend them. The only time I recommend them is if you're making like a unit to absorb artillery. Um, it's really the only time I recommend them. Because they're very cheap. They're also quite good at melee. Um, but yeah, other than that, they're quite bad. The Springfield 1842s and Palmettos, also really not great. Uh, the Palmetto is a bit better than the Springfield, but there's a lot more Springfields than Palmettos. So I do recommend these weapons for you when you start, but I don't recommend them really anywhere past Gaines's Mill. Uh, they're not really good, but they can get the job done. Now the 1841 Mississippi is where guns start getting pretty good. This is the cheapest rifled gun in the game. Now I do recommend this gun 100%. I use a lot of these in my army, especially in my 3rd Corps. Yeah, Barrett has some, Bloom has some, Russell has some. So almost all of my 1st Division and 3rd Corps uses these. The MJG Type 2 is one of my favorite infantry weapons in the game. 100% recommend this gun. It does very good in melee, which I must say all of the Confederate guns do really good in melee. Um, it reloads pretty quickly compared to other weapons and has a good range. The only thing is you don't get a lot of these weapons. When you do get them, you might get like anywhere from 1,000 to 1,800 of them, and then that's all you get for the campaign. I believe Archer's Brigade has some. Armistead's Brigade used to have some, but I took them away because they're just in such low numbers. I had to get something else for them so I could replenish my losses. But other than the lack of them, they're a very good gun. Now the Lorenz gun is one gun that is very good, and it is a rare gun that is good, and you can get it in high numbers on both sides. You can get a lot of these as the Union. You can't get as many as the Confederacy, but you can still get a lot of them as the Confederacy. Now, I do have multiple brigades equipped with the Lorenz guns, and they are, like I said, very good. Tyler Texas they're a good gun. I haven't used them a lot because you get very little of them. Like, this is all that I've gotten in the Maryland campaign, 225. So I don't ever even use these really. Now, the Pattern 1853 Enfield is probably one of the best guns you can use um, before, like, the war ends. Like, 1861 to, like, 1863, this is really the best you're gonna get, other than the next 2 guns. Really, the Pattern 1853 Enfield, the Springfield 1855, and the Harvest Ferry 1855, they're all kind of the same, uh, in my opinion anyways, other than pricing. and reloading speed. They're all three very good guns. Now the CS Richmond, I don't really ever use this gun. I haven't really ever used this gun, so I don't really know too much about it. But from the statistics, it seems like a pretty good gun. The Springfield 1861 is another gun that I do definitely recommend. Obviously, it's better than the 1855. Better efficiency, better melee, better reloading. Uh, Same thing with the 63. Now this is a trapdoor, so this is, I believe. Yeah, yeah, okay. So the reloading on this gun is even better. Uh, so definitely do recommend this gun. It's very hard to get. You're probably not going to get any of these as the Confederacy, but you can get a few of them as the Union. They usually come around right before the war ends, so I've never really used a lot of them. But when I have used them, they are definitely a very good gun to use. Now, the Colt Model 1855, I've never actually used this gun at all, so I'm not going to say really anything about it. But it definitely does seem that it's quite well at reloading. The Henry, I'm saving up to get a brigade with these. Um, but other than that, I don't think I've ever used them for infantry, so once again, not going to say anything about them. The Fayetteville is definitely a very good gun. Probably the best infantry gun for the Confederates that you can get. Uh, Very well range and damage. Reloading isn't the best, but it's not terrible, and you're not gonna get a lot of them. Um, you will get them more as a Confederates than you do as a Union, because it's made in Arkansas, I do believe, so that's why. And yeah, yeah, that's really it. That's really all I have to say about the Fayetteville. I do definitely recommend this gun. The Spencer, uh, used by one of the most famous Union brigades in the entire war, the Lightning Brigade. So you can put down a lot of fire in a very short amount of time, but what that means is you're gonna run out of ammo a lot quicker. But if you have the ammo, the supply wagon right by you, then that's not really a problem. You're not really gonna get any of these as the Confederates unless you capture some, which I don't even think I've ever done that. Uh, but you will get them as the Union. Now you can use these as infantry and skirmishers, and they're very good guns. You know, the statistics on these are very high. So I do definitely recommend them whenever you can get your hands on them. So go ahead and move on to skirmishers. The Hunter is another gun that I've never really used before, but the melee is at 87. The reloading is very low on this gun though. So I might recommend it to you. Def well, it depends. Actually, I'm gonna do the skirmishers category for sharpshooters and just normal skirmishers. I guess I'll do the sharpshooters first because there's less weapons for them. So the J.F. Brown telescope is probably the best skirmisher gun that you can get for the Union, other than the Spencer. Just depends. Do you want quicker fire, or do you want a higher fire rate, or do you want a better range? The Whitworth telescope is a very good gun. I use these for my Tipton rifles. You can get a lot of these as the Confederates. I don't think you can get very many as the Union. But yeah, definitely do recommend it. Same with the Whitworth. Basically the same. I just don't think yeah, the Whitworth has more range. But the normal Whitworth is a very good gun as well. I use those for my first South Carolina Ors rifles. So yeah, definitely recommend those three at the bottom. I already talked about the Spencer, so I'm not going to talk about it again. But the Sharps is another sharpshooting weapon for the Union. You're not gonna get really any of these as the Confederates, but you will get a good amount of these as the Union actually. And I definitely recommend them whenever you can get your hands on them. The Spencer carbine is also a cavalry weapon. Whenever you can get them, I definitely do recommend buying them. They're just like the Spencer, quicker fire rate actually, not as good in melee, but these are very good weapons, especially for cavalry. The Burnside is a Union gun, obviously, and it's not the best cavalry. Or you know what, we're talking about skirmishers, so I'll save that for the cavalry. But you know, I definitely do recommend this gun if you need a if you don't need the best gun, but you need a reliable gun that can get the job done. I definitely recommend the Burnside. Now, this is another gun I've never used before. I might try to use it later on in this campaign, but for now I'm not going to talk about this gun. Same with the 1862 Richmond, CS Richmond, I've never used that before. Now the Smith is a gun that you're going to get primarily as the Union. Oh, I guess I should say, by the way, uh, the Colt. From the Colt up, these are all skirmishing weapons. Just from the sharps down is for sharpshooting. But the Smith is another gun that you're going to get a lot as the Union. You're not going to get a lot of these as the Confederates, unless you capture them. But this is another cavalry weapon, and I definitely do recommend these whenever you can get your hands on them. I've never used them a lot, but when I have used them, you know, they're very good. And the Sharps Model 1855, I'm sure all of y'all have used this gun here before for skirmishers or cavalry. It's your standard cavalry and skirmisher weapon, so, you know, I definitely recommend them to y'all. Um, so for cavalry, we have melee cavalry and cavalry. Now you can tell the difference between melee and skirmish because the melee cavalry will have the pistol and the saber. Skirmish cavalry will just have the gun. So the sawed-off. Okay, I guess I should tell for any new players. You can still use melee with the uh, skirmish cavalry. They just don't do nearly as good. Also, if you charge them into infantry, it's near certain death. Unless you charge, like, mass charge them. Now, the sawed-off shotgun, this is a gun that Nathan Bedford Forrest actually liked to use. I don't use it a lot. I tried to use it when I first got Forrest Cavalry after Shiloh. I didn't really like it. It's good if you can sneak up on somebody with it and, you know, hit their flanks. But, you know, this is a very short-range weapon. Like I said, it's a sawed-off shotgun. So I really don't recommend this weapon. The Cookin' Brother is... It's not really a carbine. It's like a musket for... Really, I would say use these for mounted infantry. Um, I wouldn't really recommend these if you're just gonna have your cavalry, like, run around, shoot, and then run away. But if you're gonna send your cavalry to a location, dismount them, and have them fight infantry, I would recommend this gun. The Palmetto 1842 is your standard melee weapon for cavalry. You're gonna probably get the most of these. Actually, no, the second most of these. For melee weapons, at least. Like right now in this one campaign, 1,000 have been offered to me, which I don't use these weapons. They're not great, to be honest, so I really don't recommend them. But if you, I mean, they're not terrible, but they're just not the best. I've already talked about the Sharps. Now the Colt is a gun that you're going to get a lot of as the Union. Like I have 1,600 right now and I'm playing as the Confederates. So probably double that as the Union. Um, you know, it's a pretty good weapon. Definitely reliable. And very popular gun, especially uh, throughout YouTubers. A lot of them use this gun, but I am actually steering away from this gun in my Confederate campaign. What I am using though is the Remington 1861. Oh, and by the way, I do recommend this gun too if you want to use it. I'd say it's pretty good actually, but I'm using the Remington 1861 um, a lot, and I'd say it might be even better than the Colt 1855. Now, the Remington is very good at melee, which, I mean, it is its main purpose, but, yeah, I definitely do recommend this gun to you all. I use it myself, I believe. Does the 6th Tennessee have it? No, they have Lee mats. The 1st Tennessee Cavalry has it. And, I mean, you can just look at the statistics. Look at all these kills. Yeah, definitely, recommend that gun to you all. Now, the Pattern 1861 Enfield. This is another gun that I definitely recommend to you all. This is obviously a skirmishing weapon, but it hits like a truck, honestly. And the reloading on it is not the best, but it's still a very good gun. And I use it myself with the first Cherokee mounted rifles. I keep clicking on barracks instead of armory. I already talked about the Smith, the Richmond, and the. Did I talk about the? No, I didn't. Okay. So the Sharps Model 1859 is another gun that you're primarily going to get as the Union. I've not gotten any of these as the Confederates so far. But when you can get your hands on it, I definitely do recommend it. It's obviously a step up from the 1855 model, and I mean it has a better reloading, better efficiency, and all that. So yeah, definitely recommend this gun. The Frank& Wesson, I've never really used this, so I don't have much to say about it. The efficiency looks good, the reloading does not, neither does the melee. The Menard is a gun that I use. Um, and you know, this is a pretty good gun here. The melee is not the best, but it's not terrible either. The reloading on it is, once again, not the best, but not terrible. So this is a gun kind of like the Burnside carbine. It's reliable if you need a gun that, you know, you can give out and it's gonna put in work, then pick this gun right here. I already talked about the Spencer, and now finally the Lemat. The Lemat is a revolver, and honestly, it's the best cavalry weapon in the game for melee. I mean, just look at the damage. I believe what is that? 100 melee, maybe. But yeah, it's even better than the Remington, and it's only $80. So I definitely recommend this weapon to you all. Like I said, I already use this, or like I already said, I use this for my 6th Tennessee. The only reason I don't use it for other cavalry or for other cavalry brigades is because I just can't get enough of them. They're not hard to get, but you don't get a lot of them when you get them. But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the artillery. Now, the 6-pounder field is a gun that I don't recommend you use at all. Whenever you can upgrade to the Napoleons, you know what? Even to the 12-pounder howitzer, I would recommend it. 12-pounder howitzer, or just really never use this gun. The 12-pounder howitzer is better for short range, but one odd thing I've found out about it, it might be because of the experience that they had, but when I was using this artillery at the started the war, I found that it was actually pretty good at counter battery fire. It could hit artillery quite well, and the artillery wasn't necessarily close. It's not like they were putting canister into one another. But it's definitely not the most accurate, but it's not a terrible gun. Now the 6 pounder wired, uh, it's not great. It has pretty good range, but you don't want to shoot this at close range. At close range, it is terrible. But the at long range, 6 pounder is pretty good. At counter battery fire, especially. Uh, I don't really recommend this gun to you just because it's a very hard gun to get. Like on both sides, I rarely ever see it. The 12 pounder Napoleon is probably the best smooth bore gun in the game. Obviously named after Napoleon Bonaparte. I definitely recommend this gun. It has very good damage, pretty good range for a smooth bore gun. The reloading is pretty good. It's quite mobile as well. Like you can move it around quite quickly, which is one thing the howitzer's not great at. Um, but yeah, like I said, definitely recommend this gun to you all. Now the 12 pounder ordnance and the 10 pounder Parrot are basically the same gun. The Parrot has more range, but the ordnance rifle is more accurate. The Parrot also has more damage though. So definitely recommend both of these. These are probably what you're gonna use mostly for rifled guns. They're also quite common. You can get a lot of them, and they're not expensive at all. Now the 10 pounder Treasure is like it's kind of like a mortar. It's slow to move, but once you get it in place, it can lay down a lot of fire, a lot of effective fire. But the reloading is not the best, but it's not terrible, and the damage also isn't great, but it's a rifled gun. The 1200 Whitworth has I'll say this, it has the most range out of any artillery piece in the game. But it is not very accurate. Um, it's really just about all I have to say about it. I do recommend this gun whenever you can get it, just because you can hit the enemy from so far out. But even as the Union, this gun is quite rare to get. I'm very fortunate to have 8 of them in my arsenal as of this time. And I'll see if I can get some more. Um, that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the 14 pounder James. Now, this is honestly one of my uh, more preferred guns, for artillery at least. Now, it has a solid range and damage, but this is another gun that is hard to get. You'll rarely ever see this gun if you're playing as the Confederates, but you'll definitely be able to get this gun as the Union. Um, the reloading isn't great. It's probably one of the lower ones on the list for rifle guns, and it's a bit more expensive than any of the other guns. The third most expensive gun in the game. But I definitely do recommend this gun when you can get your hands on it. Now, the 24 pounder howitzer is obviously a big step up from the 12 pounder howitzer. Now, it's probably the worst on reloading, but I mean, look at the damage on this gun, 75 damage. And it also has more range than the 12 pounder. The fire rate, terrible. And it's not the most accurate, but I mean, it's a very good gun. I have a whole brigade of these, 24 of them. I think I just moved them to the second corps. Yeah, right here. And I mean, every battle that we go into, they get a good amount of kills. Second Manassas, they didn't see the fight really. That's why they have little kills there. But moving on to the 20 pounder Parrot. This is one of my favorite. This is probably my favorite gun for artillery. Uh, it has the second most range in the game, right after the Whitworth. And for a rifled gun, the damage on this is great. 73 damage, just shy of the damage from the 24 pounder howitzer. It's mobile. You'll rarely get this gun, but well, I say that. You'll rarely get this as the Confederates. You can get it as the Union in a pretty large number. Uh, but you're not gonna be getting it as much as you'll get, say, like the 12 pounder howitzer or the 12 pounder Napoleon. But definitely a good gun. 100% I recommend this gun. One of the best, if not the best in the game. But with that being said, that is gonna bring an end to the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this cleared up any questions you had. I hope this gave you more of a perspective on the better guns to use. Um, yeah. Okay. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want to command any of these brigades, put their brigade name in the comments. And other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video, which is going to be the Battle of Harper's Ferry. Bye.